Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
We are back with another TNA review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. Now, it's a bit later than normal. It's nearly a week since Impact, the Impact episode that aired. So apologies, we've been a little bit busy, which you may have seen on the social platforms, the press releases that we'll get to in a minute. Normal service will be resumed this week, and we will record on Friday, the day after the episode, as we normally do so. However, that's given us that long to between shows. We can give some information that has come out recently, or as recently as last night. There was a lot of cryptic stuff going on social media. TNA wrestlers were putting up the timer emoji on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it caused a lot of concern, even with some of the TNA fan base, that are these guys leaving? What's the deal? One of them in particular was the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Now, it come out later on in the day that TNA had extended the contract of Josh Alexander, which is great news. He's a fantastic competitor. So kudos to TNA for doing that. It's great that Josh is still a part of TNA, and hopefully the rest of the roster will follow as and when they need to with their contractual situation. Hope that clears everything up. At least for now, and we can move on. They got the pay-per-view on Friday, amazingly enough. They've got a pay-per-view Friday. We're looking forward to No Surrender on Friday and seeing what happened. It'll be interesting when that does happen, see what the crowd are like, since Scott D'Amore is the first taping that they've done since the departure of Scott D'Amore. So hopefully the fans will be supportive of the guys and girls that are wrestling, and there's no major issues. Like I said last week, just give it some time. Anyway, let's get into TNA Impact. Jake Something and Frankie Kazarian open the show in actually really good little opener. There's really hard hitting Frankie Kazarian with his new attitude, and Jake Something is always so impressive. And there was a really big forearm blast on this. There was a nice little slingshot DDT as well. Funnily enough, during this match, Eric Young was seen watching from behind the curtain as well during this. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The end of this match, Kazarian trips up something on the top rope and then pins him with a hold of the rope to, take the victory. So, Frankie Kazarian, his new attitude and his new ways of doing things. However, Eric Young then lays out the challenge to meet Frankie Kazarian face to face in the ring next week, or this week, shall we say. We're looking forward to seeing that as well. Next was Jordan Grace against Savannah Evans, but had Giselle Shaw. Now, Giselle Shaw split up from the group last week. However, she came out to Savannah at ringside. Basically, she obviously fired, and Savannah Evans wanted to redeem herself against Jordan Grace. Nice little butterfly suplex, actually, by Evans out of the corner early doors on this one. There was a nice Vader bomb as well from Jordan Grace. But then when she was building up momentum, Evans shuts her down with a big boot. She did shift her attention to Mashaw at ringside, and allowed actually Jordan Grace to capitalize and hit the muscle buster for the victory. And after the match, Giselle Shaw blindsides both Jordan Grace and Savannah Evans, attacking them with the Atom X, and stands tall holding the title. Now, interestingly enough, that match, I believe, is happening on Friday at No Surrender. So a good bit of build there to the storyline. Looking forward to seeing what happens during that. Quite funnily enough, at the back at this point, Gia Miller was pushed aside by the interviewer of Ash by Elegance, and he introduces Ash, who announces that she will be making her TNA in-ring debut next week. We're really looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing what the full artist formerly known as Dana Brooke can bring to TNA. There was lots of, pain that she was underutilized in WWE. So we'll see how that goes next week, or this week. I keep saying next week, this week on TNA. There was another episode of Alan Angel's Soundcheck. That was with Simon Gotch. And now, obviously, he was saying that well, they were asking the question why Simon Gotch attacked Josh Alexander, and he basically said he was the one that pushed Alexander to his limit on the night when he was signed to TNA Wrestling several years ago. But he's never been given the recognition that he deserves. Josh Alexander burst into the room at that point, and there was a big brawl. That's going to set up a match at No Surrender, I believe. Really looking forward to that match. Simon Gotch is a really good technical wrestler. Josh Alexander is the walking weapon, one of the best in the business. That should be a really, really good match at No Surrender. Really looking forward to seeing that one. TNA Tag Team Championship. The second match in the best of three, obviously, Bullet Club ABC versus the Grizzled Young Vets. The Grizzled Young Veterans were 1-0 up for their match a couple of weeks ago. So it's a must win from Bullet Club ABC. And again, the great news about this, and sometimes the best of, the best of twos, or best of 3, 5, and 7 series can be a bit samey in terms of the match layout, in terms of moves that are hit, etc., etc. What they've done a great job with on this is doing different things, doing different moves, changing the matches so it isn't the same as the one 2 weeks ago. And, that was really good. We did say that we expected Bullet Club ABC to win the match, and they absolutely did, although the Grizzly Young Veterans did hit a doomsday device, were very close to, and at the point where they went for the grit your teeth, Chris Bay rolled it, Drake for the free, for the 1-2-3, and it's tied at 1-1. Really looking forward. I think that may be at No Surrender as well. Really looking forward to that match. No Surrender, and seeing if they can differentiate it one more time. Hopefully they can. Dango put out a casting call for tag teams to step up and face him and Oleg Prudis, the former Vladimir Kozlov. Looking forward to seeing who, and keep saying the word looking forward. I want to see who steps up to that. But Dango's such a great talker. It's the one thing, he really is such a great talker on the microphone, and didn't necessarily work out in WWE for maybe abundance of reasons. Could argue that he didn't do it, could argue that they didn't push him. Did he not capitalize on the situations? But TNA, he's definitely at home, and he's showing them what he can do. Mustafa Ali, wasn't it? And he said it's during times of great change that leadership is needed most, as he continues his campaign for the X Division Championship, and he wants to revitalize the X Division, and he will do so by dethroning Chris Bay at No Surrender. If you watch one match at No Surrender, make it to be that. It is brilliant. Mustafa Ali, I saw him just this past weekend Revolution Pro Wrestling against the King of the Cruiserweights, Robbie X, and he was absolutely fantastic. Cannot wait to see him versus Chris Sabin. There is a little bit where they start with Chris Sabin, where he looks as if he's cracking under the pressure a little bit to take his title. The good hands, Koch and Skyler, were provoking Sabin at the back, and he actually hit an innocent bystander during that. And yeah, they're just kind of, twisting the melons, so to speak, as we say over here in the UK, of Sabin. And he's starting to show a few cracks. One more episode before No Surrender, though, so we'll look forward to seeing what happens with Chris Sabin and whether he will crack under that pressure or not. Digital Media Championship time. Crazy Steve versus Rhino. Of course, there were tables involved. They pulled it out. Crazy Steve put it back in. There was some good hard-hitting moves on this. The referee did stop Crazy Steve from using the digital media title as a weapon. Great TKO from Rhino for a 2. He did, however, Crazy Steve did counter the gore and diverts the referee's attention by throwing a fork in the ring, and whilst doing so, hits Rhino with the title and retains the digital media championship. So really good, a nice what's the word I can use? Really good win for Crazy Steve on this, using a bit of the old noggin there to get the victory. Joe Hendry and Cody Deaner were next. Joe Hendry was making his entrance, and he was interrupted by AJ Francis, who unveils a new music video poking fun at Joe Hendry. And Joe Hendry, of course, fires back with a new music video of his own, saying that AJ Francis is banned from diving, and it's quite hilarious. But whilst Hendry is preoccupied with Francis, Dina blindsides Joe Hendry. Sorry, Rich Swann does come through the aid of Joe Hendry, and finally that match never really gets underway. Sorry, so we may have to see that again this week with any luck. But AJ Francis is certainly making a name for himself. There was footage of a WWC show in Puerto Rico where Nick Nemeth was jumped by Macklin. Trent Seven doesn't take too kindly about that and challenges Macklin to a match this week on TNA Impact. I cannot wait for that. Trent Seven's a great wrestler. Saw him again, funnily enough, just this past weekend in a match with a Japanese wrestler, Tagi, I think his name was. Great match that was as well. Killer Kelly was against Danny Luna next. A great win for Danny Luna. I think her first win in TNA with a roll up to score the big win. Again, this was Killer Kelly looking for a tune-up before the rematch against the Decay, MK Ultra's rematch against the Decay. But she didn't do it under the pressure. She falled under the pressure, so to speak, and Luna got a roll up and got the victory there. MK Ultra did attack Luna and threat from behind after the match, but the Decay made their way to the ring and sent MK Ultra right back up the ramp. The main event of TNA was Moose and Kushida, Moose of the System and Kushida. Everyone was banned from ringside on this one. This was a great match. The main event match, you always say your main event really needs to be good. It was. Kushida's such a great wrestler. There was a lot of good counters in this as well. There was a bit where Kushida leaped off the rope, but Moose catches him in midair with a Uranagi, which was absolutely sick. And there was loads of transitions, loads of counters, bits and pieces going on. Kushida nearly put him away with the code red, but Moose turned the tide and hit the spear for the victory. At the end of that match, the whole system come out. Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Alicia Edwards. But Alex Shelley, Kevin Knight, even the odds, and they clear the ring as Impact goes off the air. Another real solid episode of Impact. We apologize it was a bit later than normal. Obviously, the big news that we partnered with Progress Wrestling to help with a lot of collaboration, do a lot of stuff with Progress. We cannot wait for that. To start this Sunday at Twisted Metal over at the Electric Ballroom in Camden. We'll be there to watch that show unfold with a steel cage match at the main event. We will be back on Friday with the next episode of TNA review. But normal service will be reviewed. We're also interviewing former TNA wrestler Heath Miller coming up. So keep an eye out on the social medias on that. But this has been the TNA review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. I have been Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, stay safe.